Hi, and welcome to Social Media Help Desk. I am Alexandra, again, not Katie and not Jeff, who you're used to seeing. I'll be hosting today. We have a very web-heavy episode for you today. These are two of our web designers, Angie
Hello.
and Billy,
Hi.
And we are just going to jump right into it. So today, let's start with, it turns out that Facebook bought Instagram at a really good price. Apparently, according to someone in business who knows these things better than I do, says that Instagram alone without Facebook would be worth $100 billion, and they bought it for $1 billion. And they're
Is that even a real number?
I don't think it is at this point. It doesn't seem like real information to me.
No.
Does that make sense to you guys? Of like Instagram's growth? And I mean, I think
Yeah.
some of it might have to do with Facebook itself, but
I know it's insane to see the shift because, you know, when Facebook first came out, we were all in college and you only needed a college ID. And now it seems like Facebook's more shifted toward our parents' age and we're more focused on Instagram. We're posting things that we're doing on the weekend. We're posting pictures of our babies.
Yeah.
You know, there's that shift alone, I think, that has played a huge role in that.
yeah.
I also think it has a lot to do with like things we're going to get to a little bit later, but like Facebook, like the news aspect of Facebook,
Yeah.
and Instagram is not as saturated with like your weird uncle's opinions.
Exactly. Yeah, they are seeing a huge shift of younger people leaving Facebook and going to Instagram.
But just not posting the same kind of content.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just not happening.
Yeah.
It's very different.
I'm happy
Super
for it.
different.
Yeah.
You're happy for it?
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how that continues to grow. So let's go ahead and talk about something that we have suggested to some of our clients, and we're actually actively working on with some of our clients. That is going to be our focus groups. Billy, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Focus groups are a great idea if you have a product and you want to take it to market and like really kind of get, Joe Public's idea is on your project. You can get a lot of like very quick feedback from like the people like directly in the room, and sometimes it can really help you steer your entire project. If you get feedback, if you love something and your feedback from your focus group is like 90% no, like
Yeah.
okay, maybe you should stop and think about it and do something else. Then with the focus group, like companies, you can get in there and you can work with them and get their get all your questions ready and really targeted towards your market. And they're apparently a lot better at like rewording your same questions to get a less biased answer out of people.
Yeah.
Which is, great, because that's what you want them there. You don't want
Yeah.
them biased. You want to know what they actually think.
Right.
And that's what those organizers do,
That's what they
is
do,
help
yeah.
focus that information.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can get a lot of it, very fast results. Anything else? Oh, going organized. So make sure you've got a plan before you
Yeah.
go in. Make sure that you're working with your company and here's my plan. How can you guys help me get this done? But you can get so much great data very quickly through them.
Yeah, focus groups are great because it helps you really figure out who your target market's going to be, because you may
Right.
think that you're going after one kind of person and find out, nope, they want nothing to do with this.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, let's change our marketing plan before we dump a bunch of money into
Right.
it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're suggesting to a client right now, it's like, hey, you want to expand on the market, you need to know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So let's put together some questions, let's get some of the product in front of people and see what they have to say about it. And then that will help us gear what we're putting and who we're putting it in front of. It really just, it's about data. It all comes down to data.
Where you start pushing your AdWords dollars or your Facebook spends, you can really get a better idea on who to spend money on.
Yeah, especially since the targeting, especially in places like Facebook and such, is so intense. You can pick so many
It's very specific, right.
Yeah. And this is just another way. I mean, data is king. That's something that has always gone on. We know that. So getting more information is always way better. So secondly, and this is our wheelhouse, especially with this, like I said, there's a lot of web people here today. And Angie's going to tell us about how important landing pages are for your business.
Right. Okay, so first off, a landing page is specifically a web page created for the purpose is for a marketing or advertising campaign. So say you own women's shoes and you want to target a certain kind of shoe or even a certain category of shoes. So like heels of some, so having that specific page for that product or service is really going to hone in where you want your client or where you want your viewers to view. So you really want it to just be like the home base for that product or service. And what's really cool about landing pages is like you can gear it toward a certain, if it's summer, you can gear it toward a summer theme. Or it's a really cool way to add personality, add a little, switch up your site a little bit, rather than the same stagnant information that viewers come and they see, all the other pages and they all look the same. So it's also great for SEO because it sees that your website is constantly changing. A couple other things. It's also really great if you're going to package, a couple of your products or services together along with like a promo code. So they go to the page and they see all these things all together. And even if you make the buying process even easier by maybe doing one-click purchase rather than having to go through a whole cart and checkout, then that alone will probably help you out a little bit more.
There are plenty of times where I see a landing page and it's like, oh, you can buy this right now. And I was like, well, if you say so. Yeah. I mean, it makes it so much easier for me. Like I'm great for that targeting.
Yeah. Or you're like, oh, I'm going to try to remember this link. Maybe I'll go home and buy it. Like, no, maybe I just need to buy it right now.
Nope. Yeah, and especially because if you click through the first time, so when you're doing like ads, like when you're running ads to these landing pages and you click through once, wherever you click through is going to go, I know that you looked at this, I'm going to show it to you again. Like, that your audience is going to see it even if they're not a buyer the first time.
Like, and you're expecting it too. Now that we know that, I'm like, now I'm going to see 10 more of these ads. I go to Facebook, I go to Google, I'm going to, it's everywhere. My email, I'm going to see it everywhere.
Instagram, everything. They know.
Which leads me to my next thing is tracking. So another great thing about having a landing page is that you can install pixels and use Google Analytics to track the exact process your users and viewers are going or getting to the page and what they're doing. And if certain things aren't performing, you can change it up. You can, maybe if it's not converting, there's something you need to change. So that's also,
What are some of those, when things aren't converting, like I know we talk about this, so let's let them know. When things aren't converting, what are the things that we look for? So if there's like, okay, something's not translating, how do we we rearrange the page? We talk about copy, that kind of thing.
So we can rearrange the page if like the call to action, if it's either signing up, if it's like a contact form they have to fill out for either, a free consultation, an ebook, or if it's a product where it's buy now. Say that's not in the right spot, maybe it's too far down on the page and people aren't getting to the bottom, or it's too buried, or it's not obvious enough, we might rearrange that a little bit to try to get that in a spot that viewers see that a little bit clearer. Could be messaging. It could just be that we're not saying it the right way, or maybe we're targeting the wrong people. So we're not. It all comes down to copy, is what I'm saying for this one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a couple different ways.
Yeah.
And it's we're constantly changing
between like the company's offer and the design. There's a lot of factors you can kind of tweak. Understanding how people are coming to your page and ingesting the information.
Right.
Like, what do I want to see first in this? Do I want to think like, oh, my back hurts first? Or do I want to think like, where can I buy this first?
Right.
Yeah. So it's very like, we've noticed in our research of looking up landing pages is that it's really per like what your business is. So it's selling something is going to look exactly like what you said before is here's a package deal, one click here order. That might work really good. Or if it's a service and you need to make an appointment, maybe a contact form is better. Maybe something along those lines. It just depends on who your audience is and how they're going to receive it.
I'm trying to sit in their shoes and figure out what the thought process they are when they're viewing the landing page, and if there's a certain flow or movement that we can convey on the landing page. Yeah. Let's see. There's lots we could talk about.
I know. We can keep going. This is literally, we talk about this all the time. This is what we do. We just sit and go, okay, how do we make these better?
I mean, I think, so and I mentioned it already, but the Facebook pixel thing and the tracking, it's huge. I mean, it's one of talking in circles here. I just think it's super important, and that alone will help you figure out what's working and what's not working.
Because tracking can get really specific. You can find out how long someone's spending on the page. You can figure out how many times they came, how many times, what they did on the page. If they clicked on anything, you can figure that out. And so that'll tell you what is the most valuable part, which can help when you're doing another landing page. Or something that we try to do, which is like A/B testing, where we have two and see which one converts better and get an idea of it.
just wanted to bring up
Yeah.
like A/B testing. It's a great way to see like, oh, we moved the button and we've got 8% more clicks.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool! That obviously did something.
Yeah.
Right.
But like then further adjusting it from again the data that you get.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we seriously sit around and talk about this all the time. I feel like it's like half of what we do. And we have times where we adjust things and, look at it and go, that wasn't it. Okay, let's keep going. We're getting some conversions, but we can do better. And that's really the whole point, I think, is making sure that your marketing is being effective. And this is a really good way to do it because, like you said, it's not only just tracking, but it's also keeping everything up to date and giving someone something fresh to look at.
Right.
Otherwise, you get stale.
Right.
And like, people also need to understand going into this that it's not like a one solution thing. Like,
Right.
This is really kind of a process that you need to massage these pages and get them to do what you want over time.
Right.
Yeah.
So like a page you start with in 6 months, you might get a much better result than your same thing you started with.
Well, it comes back to what we were saying before, is all about data.
About
That data you get out of that is invaluable, and you can just
True.
set it. It's so important to be able to track that information and develop strategies around that. Any other thoughts on landing pages?
The landing pages, you want to create one for every type of service or product that you're specifically targeting. So, and then between all those, you can kind of compare. If you do, like same with A/B testing, you can figure out what is working best between all of them.
Like, what are your clients actually coming to your page for?
Right.
What thing is the most important? So, like you said, like if you were doing shoes and you found that a landing page for flats was doing better than heels, you go, okay, people want this more.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think if you have more questions, you can certainly ask us because this is, like I said, all we talk about, and that was like the super short Reader's Digest version of what we just went through. So we're gonna move on to in the news. This is stuff that's been happening throughout the week. We always put this up on the blog once a week, so you can track all of this and you can read about the articles. We're gonna move backwards from the blog. Talk about first how Facebook is getting rid of their trending feature. You guys know what their trending feature was?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah. I looked at it kind of a lot. I always thought it was kind of a fascinating just experiment that they're doing it, for lack of better words. Like what are people like clicking on? And like I was always like, God, why are they clicking on it? It never shocked. I was always shocked by like how many times like the Kardashians would show up and I'm like, who? Somebody cares.
Yeah.
When there was something weird on the trending ones, I'd be like, what are they talking about? And I'd click on it and be like, I just contributed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just contributed to this mess.
I guess sometimes if they're extra tragedy, yes, I would. I'm like, oh God, I need to know.
So I definitely would click on them, but now that it's not there, I don't miss it. So it's like I kind of like went somewhere else to find the trend, and it already appears on your feed if there is a trending article of some sort.
Yeah. Well, think about it. The things that get shared over and over, they'll just be like, here's an article, 4 of your friends shared it.
Still kind of doing that. They're just not making it as obvious in the right column.
Right.
Right. And I think a lot of it has to do with the battling fake news thing.
It's 100% what it is.
Because that's where most of that seems like it went. That they cracked the algorithm, they figured out how to get it to do what they want.
Yeah. Apparently people were using an injection tool, I guess.
An injection
What
tool.
they're calling it, an injection tool. And so there was news that was being added that wasn't actually news and wasn't actually trending. So people were taking advantage.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. So they're getting rid of it. But in replacement, they're coming up with their own Today In, which is a news feature, where they're actually working with news organizations and local newsrooms. They'll even be having their own like live coverage.
Interesting.
Cool.
Is that where you want to find your news, on Facebook?
That's where I'm finding it anyway.
That's a good point. We're already seeing it.
I don't log into like CNN.com or
It's
something
true.
like that.
Oh, see,
I'm
I
not
look at all
getting
the...
it.
I'm like that old person who's like, I want a newspaper.
I guess I've just been trying to avoid the news as much as humanly possible.
Understandable.
But you got to be informed. You can't keep your head buried forever.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'll be good in some aspects since it is, news is generally, they try and make it local to where you are, but if they're using actual local newsrooms to tell you what's going on in your city, that's going to give you a like more rounded out feeling instead of just what came up.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's good. I think they're getting rid of the trending stuff.
Yeah.
Because trending does not mean factual, is the problem.
That's true.
All right, so next up, and this is a quick one, is LinkedIn is adding a Your Commute to their mobile app. What that does is it already asks you where you're from and it tells you how close the jobs are that you're trying to get to or trying to work for. It'll now tell you, here's your commute of how long it'll take, the routes you'll need to take. So in case you're like, okay, that's a great job, but that is way too far, or because of the way traffic flows, it'll be too hard. I guess they've run some studies and says 85% of professionals would rather take a pay cut for a shorter commute. That's just how they feel about it.
Yeah.
I think it depends on where you're at. I think like
so.
Places like LA, I can get. Yeah,
Definitely.
we're suburbs, so we're not quite as.
Yeah.
I just kind of dealt with this being from a different place, moving to a place I know nothing about. Like, you know, I looked up every job that I went, then I went on like Google Maps to figure out how far it was.
Yeah.
Then I had to talk to a bunch of people to figure about like, okay, so what's the commute? Oh, if you leave by 7 a.m., you're cool, but like...
Right.
You don't want to leave by 7:05 because it's a huge difference.
Yep, and it's like 2 minutes will do it.
Yeah.
This kind of thing might help push you towards that job.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see people making huge decisions based off of it, but I think it's gonna help you steer.
It's probably something that they
Yeah,
recognize was already happening.
It's a nice it's there for convenience. Like, it's nice to be like, oh yeah, that is a little
That's
bit closer.
cute.
But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're really serious about the job, you're gonna go to Waze, you're gonna go to Google Maps, type in the time, you're gonna do some research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you
Additionally
say
from this,
it's funny you say Google Maps because Bing is going to be the one running this one.
Or go to Bing.
Bing Maps is going to be the one that they're using.
They're probably charging them less.
And that is probably 100% what it is. So we'll see how that goes. All right, and last but not least, Instagram has launched IGTV. It was announced on June 20th. It's already on. Most of the people I know who are on Instagram are using it. Okay, so what is it? What's it do?
It's a 60-second video. It's longer than an
So
Instagram.
it's 5
I think
to
it's
15?
5. It's 5 to 15.
No way.
Yeah.
Is it really that long?
They're trying to compete with YouTube.
I am misinformed.
You're not the demographic.
I am not.
Yeah, it's 5 to 15 minute quality film. So going after the YouTube crowd. They're trying to bring influencers into Instagram to get them to do that. We just talked about how Instagram, in the very beginning of how Instagram has way more users now. And we know that YouTube has a lot of younger users because that's where they're getting their entertainment.
Right.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they go after it. Do you think this is going to catch on?
I think yes, initially. I just don't. It's never going to be a replacement for YouTube, but I think it's for people that maybe are starting out that don't have a YouTube channel and they're like, well, I've been Instagram heavy this entire time. Why not just stay on Instagram?
Yeah.
I mean,
it also seems like a cool thing for like maybe like musicians, like making like music videos and doing.
It's an
more
easier way to
that
get
kind of
out
content.
there.
You know, maybe like filmmakers getting more of a start doing 15-minute videos,
Right.
Because you know, Instagram to me has always had more of a focus on the actual like the picture and how it looks, and I think kind of keeping that same mentality and moving it more of like a media channel that does more artistic things than you would with like Facebook or even like YouTube. YouTube's going to be great to like, you know, how do I do this?
Yeah.
But I think that the artistic world needs something a little different than YouTube.
I'm with you in some ways because I think Instagram has a certain aesthetic that they go for. You know, there's a feel that happened when it came out, and I think they can do this, but I also think that there's a lot, I mean, there's things that I watch on YouTube all the time that's like they regularly come out with things every day, and it's like watching TV. It's really strange. But I don't know, I think it's interesting that they're trying to do this only because... So, wait, I have a different question, actually. Do you guys know if it's not live, though, right? Because it's not the same thing as Instagram Live.
It's not live, but I've seen people put their Instagram lives on IGTV.
That was going to be my next thought, is because if you go
I watched
live...
it in both spots. I was like, I
Gotcha.
was flipping through my stories, I saw it on a live, and then when I was flipping through IGTV, I'm like, hey, I saw this already. So
Okay, so they can put that in there.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because that's what I was thinking is, well, your live stuff would be really good for your IGTV stuff.
Right.
Because if you're answering questions, if you have that kind of engagement,
Right.
you know, if you're an influencer who can talk about something, or you're a, you know about something somebody else doesn't, you know, and you can have that conversation. They will be presenting ads to it. It's going to be the full, now, disclaimer here, it is the vertical instead of the horizontal, so you're going to be used to holding your phone the same way you would with Instagram anyway, because you scroll that way. So the ads will be the same way. It's the same way that Snapchat ads are.
Got it.
And those ads are going to allow you to swipe up, and you can tell it to take it to a page, an e-commerce site, a website, a landing page,
Got it.
that kind of thing, so that we can even mention event ticketing, which is right down the music or comedy aisle for that one.
Well, I know Airbnb's been working on a lot of vertical video, and like a lot of the bigger companies are starting to go vertical.
It's because we all look at them that way, you know.
Yeah. Well, and you know, they're tech companies in their tech world, and they want to be a little different than everything else.
I mean, it's some of the things they've been saying is trying to focus on like nicer video, that they're trying to get like more quality video in the Instagram, like
Right.
IGTV, which is interesting because we were just talking about this beforehand, is that we like the horizontal view. We like that's how our eyes see, you know, and then we hold our phones like this. It kind of ruins it. So it's interesting how they're going to, if people will adapt
Right.
to it and doing all these vertical things, but then you can't load it to YouTube.
Well, I worked on a couple vertical videos, and like I found that it was an interesting way to get information across, because we're still looking at just like the top half of it, and then therefore I could put a lot of like more kind of information explaining like what the image was about. At least that's how I took it, and the clients liked the video. So
because then you're breaking it into thirds of like the videos up here, and you can have that third at the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's a more natural way to read a page. Interesting. I didn't even realize that.
I don't. That's just how
It's just how you interpret it.
how I took it,
I mean, there's times where we have videos where it's like thirds horizontally, but that's an interesting. Now that I think about it, it's true. Every time I see someone who posts like even a story, if they put text in there, it's almost always in the lower third.
Yeah.
Almost always in the lower third.
So yeah, it seems for like branding and that kind of things, it seemed like it could be really, really good. Get most of your motion up top, and then facts supporting it.
And calls to action, even if you're doing ads and stuff like
Especially
that.
if you got it swiped up. And
You got the easy swipe up. I mean, there's so many.
Like some like arrows pointing up, swipe down. I mean,
Get really fancy with it.
We're gonna see all that kind of stuff.
I mean, absolutely, especially because it's a younger crowd, so the marketing is going to be different.
Yeah.
We're going to have a totally different style of marketing to
Very
these
true.
to people.
Like fire emojis and arrows.
Everything is fire. Yes. I can't decide if it's going to stick around. I think it probably will, because I'm imagining that Facebook is going to push advertising on this, and they're going to get influencers and people. They're going to sponsor them partially to do it, and you'll get people watching it. I imagine that's what they're going to do, but I don't know.
I just kind of started doing looking at stories, so.
Yeah, I barely even look at stories. Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, somebody did something.
It's mainly because my man Andrew behind the camera posts them all the time.
Maybe I should get on. I'm getting old, guys. I don't know what to do about this.
See, on Instagram stories, it's like pretty much all. I just look at the stories now. I don't even find myself flipping through photos that much anymore.
Flip through photos.
I don't know. So I think the IGTV is going to stick around.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's right next to it, so that's just.
It is right there. It's
if
really
you're
easy.
You're flipping.
It's such a bright button too.
Right. It's true.
I guess
they want you to click that over the
I guess I've got to
stories.
update my app. See it? Right.
It rolled out weird. Some people had it before I did. I think it was just a roll trying to get it out there.
Yeah.
They were like beta testing it on certain phones or something.
Yeah, kind of like how Snapchat originally did that when they rolled out their new.
Oh right.
Which some people still really hate apparently. They're still mad about that.
What happened to Snapchat? Are they still?
They're still there.
They're still a thing.
Yeah.
They still create a lot of stuff that somebody else steals and does better. That's kind of what it is.
Okay.
Poor Snapchat.
There's definitely there's a downfall with Snapchat
Yeah.
though. I see less and less of my friends using Snapchat.
Yeah, I mean the stories on IG and this even is following kind of more long form, which Snapchat kind of had. So
Interesting.
So that's where we're at, guys. Alrighty, well, this has been Social Media Help Desk. I hope that we were somewhat helpful. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment for us. We would love to hear from you, and we could probably start answering questions again on live. We like to do that. So again, thank you for joining us. Billy, web designer, Angie, web designer, me, project manager, Alexandra. We will see you next week.